I stood outside the CEO's office with a bottle of champagne tucked under my arm, my heart racing with excitement. 5 years of 60-hour weeks, missed birthdays, and sacrificed weekends had finally paid off. The promotion to Director of Operations was mine. Marcus, my boss, had called me that morning with congratulations, told me to come by at 4 o'clock for the official announcement. Through the frosted glass door, I could see shadows moving. The board members were all there. I straightened my blazer, practiced my grateful smile one more time, and reached for the door handle. Then I heard it, laughter, Marcus's voice, loud and mocking. I mean, can you imagine? Rachel actually thinks she's getting the promotion. The woman's unstable, emotional, she cried during the Henderson presentation. More laughter. My hand froze on the handle. The position goes to Vivian, obviously, Marcus continued. She understands what it takes to succeed here. Rachel's useful, but she's not director material. Too fragile. The champagne bottle slipped from my grip. I caught it before it hit the floor, but the damage was done. My entire world shattered in that single moment. Went back to my desk in a daze. The office was nearly empty, most people having left by 6. I started packing my things mechanically. Photos, coffee mug, the plaque I'd gotten for Employee of the Year, all of it felt meaningless now. I was shoving files into a box when I heard the soft squeak of wheels. The cleaning cart. I looked up to see Elias, the janitor. He'd worked here longer than anyone, always silent, always invisible. People walked past him like he was furniture. He stopped beside my desk, his weathered hands gripping the cart handle. Without a word, he reached into his pocket and pulled out pieces of shredded paper. He'd taped them back together carefully. It was a memo fragment with numbers and account codes I didn't recognize. Don't just leave, Elias said quietly. His voice was rough, like he didn't use it often. Wait for the silver folder in Marcus's trash tomorrow. He thinks I'm invisible, but I see the rot. I stared at him, confused and broken. What are you talking about? Tomorrow? His lunch meeting runs 3 hours every Wednesday. Silver folder. Don't let him destroy you without taking something back. He wheeled his cart away before I could respond. The next morning, I walked into the office with my head held high, even though I wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. Marcus called an all-hands meeting at 9. The entire team crammed into the conference room. Vivian sat at Marcus's right hand, looking smug in a dress that was definitely too expensive for her salary. I have an exciting announcement, Marcus said, his smile wide and fake. Vivian Chen will be our new Director of Operations. She's shown exceptional dedication and vision. Applause. I clapped along mechanically. Marcus's eyes found mine. Rachel, I'd like you to help train Vivian for her new role. Show her the ropes, introduce her to our systems. I know I can count on you to be professional about this. The team turned to look at me. Some faces showed pity. Others showed relief. It wasn't them. Of course, I said, my voice steady despite the rage burning in my chest. I'm happy to help. Marcus smiled. Excellent. That's why you're so valuable, Rachel. Always a team player. I sat through the rest of the meeting, absorbing every insult, every condescending word. But my eyes kept drifting to the trash bin in the corner of Marcus's office, visible through the glass wall. Wednesday. Marcus left for his lunch meeting at noon sharp. I watched him go, watched the elevator doors close behind him and Vivian. They were laughing about something, probably me. I waited 15 minutes to be safe, then walked into his office with a stack of files as an excuse. My hands shook as I approached the trash bin. There it was, a silver folder, partially buried under coffee cups and crumpled papers. I pulled it out carefully. Inside were documents that made my blood run cold. A ledger of offshore accounts, lists of ghost employees who didn't exist but collected paychecks, wire transfers totaling millions of dollars over 3 years. Marcus wasn't just stealing from the company. He was bleeding it dry systematically. I pulled out my phone and started photographing every page. The camera shutter clicked softly. 1 page, 2, 5, 10. My heart hammered so hard I thought it might burst. Then I heard it, the door handle turning. I froze, the folder still in my hands, my phone raised. The door swung open, but it wasn't Marcus. It was Sarah Chen, the CEO's wife. She stopped when she saw me, her eyes going to the folder, then to my phone. We stared at each other. Time seemed to stop. Don't stop, Sarah said quietly, closing the door behind her. Keep photographing. I blinked confused. I'm not here to catch you, she continued, walking toward me. I'm here to find proof of Marcus's affair with my husband's employee. She gestured at the folder. But that looks far more interesting. My mind raced. You know about Vivian? Of course I know. I've known for 6 months. Sarah's voice was bitter. But our prenup is ironclad. Infidelity alone won't get me anything. I need financial misconduct. Something that proves my husband was negligent in his duties, that he let this happen under his nose. She pulled out her own phone. So photograph that ledger. And send me copies. Because I think we're both being played by the same man. I looked down at the folder, at the evidence of Marcus's crimes. Then I looked at Sarah, a woman I'd seen at company parties, always perfectly dressed, always smiling. I'd never imagined she was fighting her own battle. He's stealing millions, I said. I can see that. Sarah started photographing pages I'd missed. And we're going to make him pay for every penny. We met at a coffee shop 2 blocks from the office, neutral territory where no one would recognize us. Sarah ordered tea. I couldn't stomach anything. I need those documents to divorce my husband without losing everything, Sarah explained. He's the CEO, but the company belongs to both of us legally. If Marcus has been embezzling and my husband ignored it, I can argue negligence. That voids the prenup clause protecting his assets. And what do I get? I asked. Sarah smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. You get Marcus destroyed. Completely. Isn't that enough? It was. God help me. It was. There's more, I said, thinking about Elias, the janitor who told me about the folder. He knows things. He's been watching Marcus for a while. Then we need to talk to him. Sarah pulled out a checkbook. Whatever he wants, I'll pay. This is bigger than you or me, Rachel. Marcus has been using my husband's company as his personal bank account. Men like that don't stop with one victim. She was right. I thought about all the employees who'd been laid off last year, the budget cuts, the frozen salaries, all while Marcus stole millions. I'll set up a meeting, I said. Tomorrow night, I met Elias at a diner on the edge of town. The kind of place with cracked vinyl boots and coffee that tasted like burnt water. He was already there when I arrived, sitting in the back corner. Thank you, I said, sliding into the booth across from him. For the warning, for the folder. You saved me from just walking away. Elias stirred his coffee slowly. I didn't do it for you. Not entirely. Then why? He looked up, and I saw something in his eyes I hadn't noticed before. Intelligence, strategy, pain. Because I built this company, he said quietly. 23 years ago. I was the founder, the CEO. Then Marcus's father came in as a partner, and 6 months later, I was out. Hostile takeover. Legal but vicious. My mouth fell open. You're Elias Grant, the original founder. Was. Now I'm just the janitor who empties trash bins and watches. He pulled out a worn folder from his jacket. I've been collecting evidence for 20 years, waiting for someone who had the courage to use it. Someone Marcus had hurt enough to fight back. Why didn't you do something yourself? Because I learned the hard way that revenge is a dish best served by someone they underestimate. Marcus's father dismissed me as yesterday's news. Marcus dismisses you as emotional and fragile. Elias smiled grimly. Let's use that. The next day, I went to Marcus's office, knocked politely, waited for him to acknowledge me like a good subordinate. Rachel, he said, barely looking up from his computer. What do you need? I want to apologize, I said, keeping my voice soft and defeated, for being unprofessional. You were right to give the promotion to Vivian. She's more qualified. I let my emotions get in the way. Marcus leaned back in his chair, satisfaction spreading across his face. I'm glad you finally see that, Rachel. It takes maturity to accept your limitations. I'd like to help train Vivian properly. Make sure she has everything she needs. Excellent. Why don't you set up her computer today? Email, access permissions, all of it. Perfect. I spent 2 hours at Vivian's desk installing programs and configuring settings. She watched me with barely concealed contempt, texting someone the entire time. Probably Marcus. What neither of them knew was that I'd installed keylogger software in her email client. Every password, every message, every document she accessed would be copied to a secure server Elias had set up. All done, I said cheerfully. You should be able to access everything now. Vivian didn't even say thank you. She just waved me away like I was a servant. I smiled all the way back to my desk. That night, I sent an anonymous tip to the IRS. Just a small discrepancy in the company's quarterly filing. Nothing major. A single transaction that didn't quite add up. Elias had identified it as bait. A tiny thread that, if pulled, would unravel everything. We waited to see how Marcus would react. He panicked beautifully. The keylogger captured everything. Emails to his accountant asking about tax exposure, calls to his lawyer about moving assets to safer locations, and then, 3 days after my tip, a wire transfer. $2 million from one of the ghost employee accounts to a new offshore account in the Cayman Islands. He thinks it's safe there, Elias said, showing me the transaction details. He thinks the IRS can't touch foreign accounts quickly enough, but I have the account numbers, the routing codes, everything. Elias pulled up another screen. I set up that account 2 years ago, waiting for this moment. The money is technically there, but I have administrative access. I can move it anywhere. I stared at the screen. $2 million. Marcus's emergency escape fund. What do we do with it? We wait, Elias said, and we watch him dig himself deeper. Marcus moved fast after that. Too fast. A junior analyst named Kevin was called into HR on Friday morning. By Friday afternoon, he was being escorted out by security, accused of embezzling the $2 million. I watched from my desk as Kevin protested, tears streaming down his face. The kid was 24, fresh out of college. He'd been at the company for 8 months. I didn't do anything, Kevin kept saying. Please, you have to believe me. I don't even have access to those accounts. But Marcus had planted evidence beautifully. Fabricated emails, falsified login records, a paper trail that led straight to Kevin's computer. The police were called. Kevin was arrested. I sat at my desk watching this innocent person's life destroyed and faced a choice. I could intervene. Reveal what? I knew. Save Kevin right now. But that would expose our plan. Marcus would know I was onto him. Everything Elias and I had built would collapse. Or I could stay silent, let an innocent person suffer, protect the long game. I chose a third option. That night, I broke into the server room using admin credentials Elias had given me. I didn't delete the evidence against Kevin. I corrupted it, made it unrecoverable. Without solid proof, the police would have to release him. And Marcus would think it was just a technical glitch. The keylogger on Vivian's computer revealed something I hadn't expected. She wasn't in love with Marcus. She wasn't even particularly interested in him romantically. She was a corporate spy. Every document she accessed, every meeting she attended, every strategy discussion she participated in got summarized and sent to an encrypted email address. It took Elias 2 days to trace it. The address belonged to Titan Industries, our biggest competitor. She's feeding them everything, I said, scrolling through months of stolen data, product launches, client lists, pricing strategies. Marcus doesn't know, Elias observed. He thinks she's just his ambitious mistress. Sarah laughed when I told her. We'd started meeting regularly, planning our next moves. So Marcus is being played from both sides. He's stealing from the company while his girlfriend steals from him. Poetic, I said. But it also gave us leverage. If we expose Vivian's corporate espionage, does that help or hurt us? Sarah considered. Depends on timing. If we reveal it too early, Marcus might actually look like a victim. But if we wait until he's already exposed as a thief, then it just makes him look incompetent, I finished. Exactly. We decided to keep Vivian's secret for now. Let her keep stealing. Let Marcus keep trusting her. The deeper the betrayal, the harder the fall. I started small. A decimal point moved in a presentation. A slide that switched order during Marcus's pitch to investors. Files that disappeared from his computer, then reappeared in the wrong folders. At first, Marcus didn't notice. Then he started to. Did anyone touch my computer? He asked during a team meeting, his voice edged with frustration. Everyone shook their heads. I looked concerned. Is something wrong? My files keep moving. Numbers change. It's like the system is glitching. Have you run a virus scan? I suggested helpfully. He glared at me. Of course I have. But I'd found nothing, because there was nothing to find. I wasn't hacking his computer. I was using his own credentials, captured by the keylogger, to access his files remotely, changing small things, creating chaos. The board started to notice. Marcus, who'd always been sharp and prepared, began making mistakes, presenting outdated data, confusing client names, looking flustered and unprepared. Is Marcus okay? Someone whispered during a meeting where he'd mixed up two major accounts. He seems off lately. Stressed, probably, I whispered back. The Kevin situation really shook him, but Marcus knew. He suspected something was wrong. He just couldn't prove it. And that made him look increasingly unhinged, paranoid, unstable. Exactly what he'd called me. The company's 20th anniversary gala was scheduled for mid-November. A huge event with clients, investors, and press. Marcus planned to give a major speech about the company's future and announce a new product line. Elias approached me 2 weeks before the gala. The final proof we need is on a USB drive Marcus keeps with him always. Physical storage, no cloud backup. He's paranoid about digital trails. What's on it? Everything. The complete ledger of theft. Communications with offshore account managers. Evidence of the ghost employees. He keeps it as insurance, in case his partners try to turn on him. How do we get it? Elias smiled. The gala. He'll wear his tuxedo. The USB stays in his inside jacket pocket. Always. You want me to pickpocket him at a company event with 500 witnesses? I want you to create an opportunity. I'll do the actual theft. He pulled out a small device. This is a perfect copy of his USB. Same brand, same color, same weight. We swap them. He won't notice until he tries to use it. I thought about the plan, the risk, the timing. What if something goes wrong? Then we improvise. But Rachel, this is our shot. After the gala, he's leaving for 2 weeks in Europe. If we don't get the USB now, we might never get another chance. The gala was held at the Grand Hotel downtown. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, an orchestra playing soft classical music. I wore a navy dress and rehearsed my role. I was still Rachel, the team player, Rachel the helpful, Rachel the forgettable. Marcus arrived with Vivian on his arm. She wore red, bold and attention-seeking. Sarah arrived separately with her husband, CEO David Chen. They looked like the perfect power couple. No one suspected the wife was planning her husband's downfall. Marcus's speech was scheduled for 8:30. At 8:15, I positioned myself near the bar with a full glass of red wine. Elias was 10 feet away, dressed in a server's uniform, carrying a tray. Marcus walked past, heading toward the stage. I stepped backward at precisely the wrong moment, crashed directly into him. Red wine exploded across his white tuxedo shirt. Oh, my God, I gasped, grabbing napkins. I'm so sorry, Marcus. I didn't see you, he cursed, looking down at the stain spreading across his chest. People turned to look. Vivian rushed over. You clumsy idiot, Marcus snapped at me. This is a custom tux. I'll pay for the cleaning. I'm so sorry. He stormed toward the bathroom to clean up, Vivian trailing behind him. In the chaos, no one noticed Elias brush past Marcus. No one saw the sleight of hand. The swap was complete. Marcus returned 10 minutes later, shirt still stained but composed. He took the stage, microphone in hand, and began his speech about innovation and legacy. And now, he said, building to his finale, I want to show you the future of our company. He pulled out the USB drive and handed it to the AV tech. The screen behind him flickered to life, but instead of product designs and market projections, something else appeared. Text messages. Between Marcus and Vivian. David is such an idiot. Doesn't suspect a thing. When do we take the company public and cash out? After we bleed it for another year or two, and then images. Marcus and Vivian together in compromising positions. The mocking messages they'd sent about the CEO, about the company, about everyone in the room. The ballroom erupted. David Chen stood up from his table, his face purple with rage. What the hell is this, Marcus? Marcus stared at the screen in horror. This isn't the right file. He fumbled with the laptop, trying to stop the presentation. But the corrupted USB kept playing its damning slideshow. Vivian tried to run. Security blocked the exits. Sarah sat at her table, sipping champagne, her expression serene. The gala dissolved into shouting, accusations, chaos. Marcus's perfect facade shattered in front of 500 witnesses. Marcus was suspended pending investigation, not fired. David Chen was too worried about the company's public image for immediate action. But Marcus suspected me. 3 days after the gala, he cornered me in the parking garage as I was leaving work. You did this, he said, blocking my car. His eyes were wild, desperate. I don't know what you're talking about. I kept my voice steady, even though my heart raced. The USB, the wine, all of it. You're trying to ruin my life. You ruined your own life, Marcus. I just showed people who you really are. He stepped closer, threatening. Give me the real ledger. The offshore accounts. Whatever you took from my office. Give it back now, or I will destroy you. I don't have anything, liar. His hand shot out and grabbed my arm. Hard enough to bruise. You think you're clever? You're nothing, Rachel. A mediocre employee. I kept around out of pity. I will ruin your career, your reputation, your entire life. No one will hire you when I'm done. I pulled my arm away. Touch me again and I'll have you arrested for assault. Try it. My lawyers will bury you. He smiled, ugly and cruel. You have 48 hours to return what you stole, or you'll regret ever crossing me. He walked away, leaving me shaking in the cold garage. That night, I packed a bag and disappeared. For 2 weeks, I didn't show up to work. Didn't answer my phone. Didn't respond to emails. I'd checked into a hotel across town under a fake name, paid in cash. Sarah and Elias joined me there with a team of forensic accountants. Marcus thinks he scared you off, Sarah said, reviewing the bank statements spread across the hotel room desk. His assistant told me he's been bragging about putting you in your place. Good, I said. Let him think that. Elias had news that changed everything. I've been reviewing the original company and corporation documents. When Marcus's father forced me out, he used a legal loophole in my stock options. But he made a mistake. What kind of mistake? He assumed the options expired after 10 years. But the actual contract says they expire after 25 years. It's been 23 years. My options are still active. Sarah understood immediately. How many shares? Enough that if we combine them with shares purchased through a shell company, we'd have controlling interest. I stared at him. You've been planning this for 2 decades. I've been waiting, Elias corrected, for the right moment, the right partners, the right circumstances. He pulled out incorporation papers for a new company. Phantom Holdings LLC, registered in Delaware. Owners are you, me, and Sarah. We've been buying up dead share stocks from deceased shareholders that their families sold cheap because they thought the company was declining. The IRS investigation escalated faster than Marcus expected. They froze his domestic accounts while they investigated the offshore transfers. Marcus panicked. With his accounts frozen and legal fees mounting, he needed cash. He went to his emergency fund, the $2 million he'd moved to the Cayman Islands. I watched through Elias's monitoring system as Marcus logged into the account from his laptop, saw his face go from confident to confused to horrified. The balance read, $0.0. Where is it? Marcus screamed into his phone, calling the bank. I transferred $2 million 3 months ago. Where did it go? The bank representative was apologetic, but firm. Sir, our records show the account was closed last week by the authorized account administrator. The funds were transferred to a charity for wrongfully convicted prisoners. Kevin, the junior analyst Marcus had framed, would get a very generous anonymous donation from that charity. Enough to pay his legal bills and start over somewhere else. Who authorized that? Marcus shouted. I'm the only one with access. Our records show 2 authorized users on this account, sir. You and an Elias Grant. The phone went silent. Then I heard Marcus's breathing, heavy and desperate. He knew, finally. He knew who was really behind everything. Where are you? He whispered into the phone, but Elias had already hung up. 2 days later, Marcus found me sitting in his office. Not my old cubicle. His corner office with the view of downtown. I'd had the locks changed. What are you doing here? He demanded, trying his key card. It didn't work. I work here, I said calmly. As the new director of operations for Phantom Holdings LLC, the company that now owns 51% of this firm, his face went white. That's impossible. Check with the SEC. The filing went through yesterday. Hostile takeover. Completely legal. Just like what your father did to Elias Grant 23 years ago. I stood up, walked around the desk that used to be his. This shell company you keep mentioning? It's owned by me and Sarah Chen, the CEO's soon-to-be ex-wife. She's divorcing him for negligence and taking half the company in the settlement. Her half plus our controlling shares means we own you now. You can't do this. But his voice had lost its confidence. We already did. Security will be here in 5 minutes to escort you from the building. I'd start packing. The door opened, but it wasn't security. It was Elias, wearing a $5,000 suit, custom tailored, looking nothing like the janitor who'd emptied trash bins for 20 years. The look on Marcus's face was everything I'd hoped for. Pure terror. "Hello, Marcus," Elias said, his voice carrying an authority I'd never heard before. "Remember me?" Marcus staggered backward. "You're supposed to be just the janitor?" Elias smiled. "I was. For 20 years, I emptied your trash, cleaned your floors, and watched you steal from the company I built. The company your father stole from me. This is insane." Marcus looked between us, searching for escape. "You can't just take over, we can." "We did. Your offshore accounts are frozen. Your emergency funds are gone. Your mistress is a corporate spy. Your affair is public. The IRS has enough evidence to charge you with tax fraud. And most importantly, you've lost the one thing that actually mattered to you." Elias walked to the window, looking out at the view Marcus used to enjoy. "Your power." I pulled out a folder. "This contains the evidence we're turning over to federal prosecutors tomorrow. Embezzlement, wire fraud, securities violations. You're looking at 20 years minimum. But first," Elias continued, "we're taking the company back, restructuring it, returning it to what it was supposed to be before your family corrupted it." He turned to face Marcus. "And the man who cleaned your toilets for 5 years. I now own your mortgage, your car loans, everything you bought with stolen money. The bank sold your debts to one of my holding companies yesterday." Marcus's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the floor. We didn't have to wait long. The police arrived 15 minutes later, but not for the fraud charges we expected. Sarah had found something else. "What's this about?" Marcus asked as officers put handcuffs on him. "Marcus Chen, you're under arrest for possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute," the detective said. "What? I've never." The detective held up a bag of pills. "These were found in your desk during a routine inspection. High-grade prescription opioids. Enough to suggest trafficking." I watched Marcus's face cycle through emotions. Confusion, denial, then understanding. "Vivian," he whispered. Sarah smiled from the doorway. "Your girlfriend planted them yesterday. We have her on security footage. She's been working with Titan Industries to not only steal our data, but also eliminate you as a competitor. They wanted you arrested, discredited, out of the way, so they could poach our clients during the chaos. But you let it happen," Marcus said, looking at me. "You knew and let her frame me." "I made sure the evidence was undeniable," I corrected. "There's a difference. You would have been arrested for financial crimes anyway." "This just speeds up the timeline." The officers led him away. He was shouting about lawyers, about wrongful arrest, about conspiracies. No one was listening. People who'd worked under him for years watched him go without sympathy. Marcus called me from jail 3 days later. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "What do you want?" "Rachel, please. I'll testify. I'll admit everything about the offshore accounts. I'll say it was company policy, that the CEO knew, that everyone was involved." His voice was desperate, broken. "Just help me. Get me a lawyer. Reduce the charges. I'll give you anything." "Why would I do that?" "Because I made you what you are. I gave you opportunities. I taught you everything. You gave me nothing but contempt and betrayal." I kept my voice cold. "You called me unstable, emotional, fragile. You denied me the promotion I earned and gave it to a corporate spy. You tried to intimidate me in a parking garage. You stole millions from people who trusted you." "I'm sorry." "No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught." I paused. "Do you know what I learned from you, Marcus? That the system protects people like you. Rich, connected, powerful men who think rules don't apply to them. But I also learned that the system has cracks. And if you're patient enough, smart enough, and angry enough, you can use those cracks to make it collapse." Please, I'm recording this call, by the way. Everything you just said about company policy and CEO involvement, that's your final confession. The prosecutors will love it. I hung up and sent the recording to Sarah's legal team. The restructuring took 3 months. Elias was named Chairman Emeritus, a title that gave him control over company direction without the daily management headaches. Sarah divorced David Chen, taking half his stake in the company plus a generous settlement. Her shares, combined with mine and Elias's, gave us 70% control. David was forced out. Vivian was arrested for corporate espionage and faced charges from both our company and Titan Industries, who'd thrown her under the bus the moment her usefulness ended. Marcus was facing 15 years after the prosecutors combined the drug charges with financial crimes. The offshore accounts revealed even more theft than we'd originally documented. Kevin, the junior analyst Marcus had framed, was not only exonerated, but rehired with a promotion and back pay. The ghost employees were eliminated from payroll, saving the company millions annually. We restructured departments, promoted based on merit, and instituted transparent financial oversight. The company started to heal, but I wasn't done. Elias called me into the chairman's office on a Friday in March. The snow was finally melting outside, spring arriving after a brutal winter. "I have something for you," he said. He handed me a key ring. "The CEO's office. You're giving me the company? I'm giving you the opportunity I never had. To run it right. To build something good." He smiled. "I told you to take the warning seriously. You did. Now take the reward seriously too." My first day as CEO started quietly. I arrived early, before anyone else, and sat in the big office watching the sun rise over the city. The same view Marcus used to have, but it felt different now. Earned, clean. Around 9, my assistant knocked. "Your first meeting is in 10 minutes. The new intern orientation." I'd forgotten about that. "Send them in." 5 interns walked in, young and nervous, clutching folders and trying to look professional. I recognized the type. I'd been them once. I started my welcome speech, talking about company culture and expectations. That's when one of them interrupted. A young man named Derek, wearing an expensive suit and an entitled expression. "Excuse me, is the cleaning lady supposed to be in here during meetings?" I followed his gaze. One of our custodial staff was emptying the trash bin in the corner. Her name was Maria, and she'd worked here for 12 years. "That's not a cleaning lady," I said quietly. "That's Maria Rodriguez. She's an employee of this company, just like you." Derek laughed. "Right, but we're trying to have a professional meeting here. Can't she come back later?" The other interns looked uncomfortable. Maria started to leave, but I stood up. "Maria, please stay." I walked over to Derek. "Let me tell you something about this company. Every person here matters. Every role is important. And the people you think are invisible, they see everything." I pulled out my phone and showed Derek a photo. It was Elias, in his janitor's uniform from 3 years ago, emptying a trash bin. This man was dismissed and ignored for 20 years. People treated him like furniture, like he didn't matter. I swiped to the next photo. Elias, in his current role, chairman of the board. He founded this company, built it from nothing, and when he was pushed out, he came back as the person everyone overlooks, the janitor. He watched, he waited, and when the time was right, he took back everything that was stolen from him. Derek's face had gone pale. "I don't understand what this has to do with. It has to do with respect. With understanding that everyone you meet could be someone important, or could become someone important, or is important in ways you can't see." I looked at Maria, who was smiling slightly now. Maria speaks 5 languages. She has a master's degree in accounting from her home country. She works here to support her family while getting her US credentials certified. She's also caught 3 accounting errors in the last year that saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars. The other interns were staring at Derek now, judgment in their eyes. "So here's your first lesson in this company," I continued. "You should really listen to her. She sees things you never will." Derek mumbled an apology. I wasn't sure if he meant it, but he'd learn, or he wouldn't last. After the meeting ended, Maria approached me. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. Someone once gave me a warning when I needed it most. Taught me to pay attention to the people everyone else ignores." I smiled. "Consider this me paying it forward." I looked out at the office, at all the people working, building, creating. The janitor had warned me. I'd listened. And in doing so, I'd learned the most important lesson of all. Power isn't about the title on your door or the size of your office. It's about seeing clearly, understanding deeply, and never, ever underestimating the people others dismiss. Marcus had mocked the janitor's warning. I took it seriously, and that made all the difference.